Welcome to the Psychology World podcast. I'm Connor Whiteley, bringing you psychology news, articles, and other interesting psychology-related articles. Where I can find the podcast notes and more interesting psychology-related things, and you can get your free 8 psychology book box set at connorwhiteley.net. Now let's get on to the show. Hi everyone, and welcome to episode 83 of the Psychology World podcast with me, Connor Whiteley. And today's episode is on: should a psychologist be allowed to prescribe medication? My reflection. And it is Friday the 4th of April 2021 as I record this. So there's going to be about 5 in-between episodes over the next few weeks about me and reflections, because this year for university I had to do quite a few reflections as a part of a particular module. So, and I actually really enjoyed this, so I thought that I would share this with you. And as this is a little in-between episode, there won't be a personal update or much of a official sponsor for today's episode. The week that this goes out, at Normal Psychology, the Causes and Treatments of Depression, Anxiety and More third edition will be out. It's a great book, cannot recommend enough. It's really popular, so hopefully you will really enjoy that, especially if you want to do clinical psychology or learn more about mental health and mental health conditions. Okay, yes, the ebook available at all major retailers, and then you can get the large print, hardback and the paperback editions from Amazon or your local bookstore. So moving on to this reflection, about episode 50 of the podcast, I did a great episode about the for and against arguments for should psychologists be able to prescribe medication as a treatment, and it's a great episode that I really recommend. So this is my reflection from Saturday the 10th of October 2020. So I introduced it a little bit, and then this is my reflection. So personally, I found the background information rather interesting, because in 5 states of the USA, psychologists can prescribe medication. I discussed the training required as well. Therefore, I think it's interesting to think about psychology in these states has developed. However, this raises a number of valid questions about prescribing privileges. So, for example, why hasn't this spread to other states or countries? Could it mean it doesn't work? What other factors could lead to these states to adopt prescribing privileges, such as a shortage of psychiatrists or prescribing doctors? Additionally, I really liked exploring the topic because the British Psychological Society has raised this debate in The Psychologist in 2020, and if psychologists don't get engaged with the topic, then others will make the decisions about prescribing advice for psychology without their input. Afterwards, I explained the pros and cons of prescribing privileges. In my opinion, I can understand why prescribing privileges could be a good idea, as it might increase access to mental health treatment and it could help free up doctors, as I say on the podcast. However, in addition to other disadvantages I mentioned in the episode, my central concern still remains. As a profession, so I'm talking about psychology here, we need to move towards formulation being ingrained at every level of the service, and we must focus on the biopsychosocial model, which I had discussed in my Formulation in a Psychotherapy book, and Lucy Johnson says the same. So my concern is, if we allow psychologists to get prescribing wise, then this could push psychology backwards towards the biomedical model, and we place less of an emphasis on the psychological and social factors, as we can simply give a medication to solve the condition. Again, it might only be a school of thought within psychology, but surely that's still a lot of psychologists. Regardless of what happens, psychologists need to act in the interest of their clients and not in the interest of ourselves or the service. We are there to improve lives and alleviate psychological distress. So that was a really quick reflection on that episode of the podcast. It was a really popular, and I really enjoyed that episode because it was really getting into a really current debate. So if you want to learn more about what this reflection was based on, please go and listen to that. It's a really enjoyable episode. And as always, I always love to know your thoughts on today's episode. It's what is your own reflection on that particular episode? I would love to know. So you can always email me, connorwhiteley.net, leave a comment on the show notes at connorwhiteley.net/podcast, or always feel free to tweet me on Twitter at sci-fi whiteley. So if you know someone who would enjoy today's episode, then please tell them about it. I'm always really grateful when you wonderful people help us spread the words about the podcast. And please check out Abnormal Psychology, The Causes and Treatments of Depression, Anxiety and More, third edition. Really recommend that book. So have a great day, everyone, and I'll see you next time. Thanks for listening today. I hope you enjoyed it. If you want to see the show notes, then please go to connorwhiteley.net. And if you want a free 8-book psychology box set, then please go to connorwhiteley.net. Have a great day, and I'll see you next time.